Okay, so this is the first video where we're going to start talking about trig. And I know that the word trig sounds scary, but the trig that we do for geometry is not hard at all. All right, so what trig is it's a way for us to set up some ratios in right triangles so that we can solve for missing pieces. Now, if you've taken this class before, you have probably seen SOHCAHTOA. This is a mnemonic that we use to help us remember which of the three trig ratios we're going to use for a given problem. All right, so the very first thing we need to figure out in our triangle, number one, it has to be a right triangle. Once we know that it's a right triangle, then we can label the sides based on the picture. So like, for instance, this is the right angle, which means this side that is straight across from it is the hypotenuse. I'm going to label it H. The other two sides, the two legs of the triangle, are either going to be O or A, depending on how they are related to the angle. So in this case, our angle is down here. So if I go to the opposite side from the angle, I'm going to put an O on that for opposite. And the side that is attached to the angle or adjacent to the angle is going to get an A for adjacent. Being able to label the three sides of a triangle is what makes trig possible. So you have to be able to do this in order to get the answers correct for these. All right, so the very first thing that you would do is you would figure out what you know about your triangle. For instance, in this picture, let me get a different color. And let's say I knew that the hypotenuse was 13 and I knew that this leg over here was 9. All right, let me go back to purple. Actually, let's just get a totally different color. Okay, in this case, I have the O side because I know that it's 9, and I have the H side because I know that it's 13. All right, so then you look over here. Like I said, we have three trig ratios. We have sine, we have cosine, and we have tangent. And each one of these trig ratios needs different pieces in order to work. All right, so sine, for instance, needs O and H. Cosine would need A and H, and tangent would need O and A. So in this picture, we know that O is 9, and we know that H is 13, but we don't know anything about A. So if we know O and H, which trig ratio over here uses O and H? Well, sine does. So if I wanted to set up a trig problem for this picture so that I could solve for x, trig equations always look the same. Is equal to O over H. All right, you say the sine or cosine or tangent, whichever trig ratio you're using, of your angle always goes with your trig ratio, is equal to, and then you set up a ratio of the two pieces that you need for each one. So sine is O over H, cosine is A over H, and tangent is O over A. All right, so if I went to plug stuff in to this equation, I would say the sine, and my angle is x, that's what I'm going to solve for, is equal to, and my O is 9, and my H is 13. All right, and so then in the next video, I'm going to show you how to solve this kind of equation. This video was just an introduction to trig so that you can learn how to set up the problems.